Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. A few weeks back, I was at a SUSS seminar on reminiscence therapy for dementia patients. A Taiwanese guest researcher was going through her deck and showed a photo of a couple in their 70s looking through the window of a senior care center. She shared that the uncle had dementia and the auntie, his wife, was the main caregiver. Then she revealed this auntie, a year after this photo was taken, was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. And at that moment, sitting in the auditorium, I wasn't thinking about reminiscence therapy anymore. What was running through my mind was, wow, scenario X is real. Stick around and let me share what scenario X is all about, as well as the implications. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, I read quite a lot of literature about Disease X, a code name used by WHO to plan for a coordinated response to a global pandemic. In their planning parameter, WHO was preparing for a disease caused by a nightmare pathogen which is airborne, the kind that needs N95 masks, and costs 10 times the fatality rate of COVID-19. Scary stuff. For my wife and I, Scenario X is therefore our code name for a nightmare aging situation, a combination of low probability, high impact events that can turn our lives upside down. So for us, Scenario X looks like this. One spouse ends up with a high burden chronic condition like dementia, stroke, or Parkinson's and needs constant care. And then the caregiver, the healthy one, suddenly gets a life-limiting or terminal illness. It's heartbreaking and financially is one of the worst possible combinations. One of the earliest videos I did on this channel was about why we chose FRS over topping up to ERS for CPF Life. I've discussed several retirement lifestyle related limitations of annuity schemes then. I will leave a link below for those who are interested. Scenario X is another big reason why we don't want to lock up too much of our retirement resources inside an annuity. Let me elaborate. Annuities, including CPF Life, are basically insurance products, and like all insurance, they are designed to cover specific catastrophic events like death, permanent disability, etc. Annuities are designed to protect us from running out of money if we live a long life. In short, longevity risk. That's why you constantly hear CPF bots messaging on this. I remember seeing a YouTube video from CPF with an auntie saying 90岁还有钱拿, which basically translates to still got money to collect even at 90 years old. And that is totally correct. CPF Life is by far the best annuity scheme in the market. At a guaranteed 4% return, backed by the government, it is a world-class pension scheme, recently given a A rating by Mercer, an achievement matched only by a handful of countries. But like all insurance products, it comes with costs and limitations. And that's what I hope to raise some awareness of in this video. For annuities, you're essentially paying to insure against living too long. So, when the opposite happens, a life-limiting illness that strikes earlier, that timing can work against you, and the financial cost can be hard to manage if you haven't planned for it. Quick pause. For the following discussion, I'll be using some numbers from a model that I've generated from a previous video comparing between annuity schemes like CPF Life versus a self-managed 4% portfolio. I will leave a link in the description for those who are interested. If not, just give me the benefit of the doubt, and as with all models, there will be limitations, okay? Let's continue. Now, assuming everything is set to default, 213,000 goes into the retirement account at 55. That's the cohort FRS for this year. And it compounds at 4% to about 315,000 10 years later. That full amount then goes into CPF Life Standard Plan, giving a monthly payout of about 1,700 from age 65 onwards. At age 80, there's still supposed to be about 150,000 remaining per person. For a couple, that's roughly 300,000 on paper. But because it's an annuity, that money is locked and only released as monthly payouts. So if scenario X hits at this time, imagine this sequence. Auntie undergoes cancer treatment, and even though on paper they have 300,000, they can't tap it. They only receive 3,400 a month. Healthcare bills and other expenses start piling up. If she survives, she has to repay the debt slowly in installments. And if she passes on, her annuity payout stops immediately. And uncle who has dementia now needs long-term care, loses his main caregiver, and is now left with the debt. That's the part too few people talk about. If auntie and uncle were not enrolled in annuity schemes, they would have far more flexibility with their available resources to navigate a situation like this. So, after walking through scenario X, let me be very clear on what this is not about. This scenario is not to scare anyone, and it is not a high probability event. This is the worst case scenario, and that's why we call it scenario X. And like what we used to say in medical school, always think of the most common and the most serious outcomes. That's why medically trained folks at WHO think like this, and that's why I think like this. Number two, this is not a criticism of CPF Life or annuities. They absolutely have their place in a retirement portfolio. If the same chain of events happens after age 89, the situation is reversed. Every monthly payout is basically free money. So it's really not the intention of this video to tell anyone to cut their annuities because a significant number of Singaporeans will live beyond 90. What I'm trying to do here is simply highlight the limitations to balance up the messaging from official channels so that my viewers can make an informed decision. As usual, sparking a conversation is my aim, not prescribing an action to follow. So to wrap things up, here are the takeaways. Number one, if you insure for longevity, please also plan for the opposite outcome. Life-limiting illnesses are real, and for some things, monthly payouts from annuities cannot deal with, and it is best to use different avenues and financial tools. That's why my wife and I decide on a liquid, conservative 4% portfolio with our ERS money. 2/3 in CPF-OA and 1/3 in equities tracking the MSCI World Index. From 55 to 85, it is actually a 30-year window, exactly the same runway as 25 to 55. So equities have time to do their job, and CPF-OA gives the stability and security. To us, the liquidity is the insurance for the opposite of longevity. By splitting 50-50, 200K in CPF Life and 200K per person to self-manage, we insure against both outcomes equally. Number two, there are no such things as risk-free. Even cash is risky as it will lose its value due to inflation. Hence, I will repeat what I've said many times on this channel. It is best to embrace risk assets to beat inflation. Using any other substitutes like annuities are inefficient and comes with limitations that can have unintended consequences. Number three, for those who really cannot tahan volatility and after watching this video start having second thoughts about topping up to ERS and yet still want the ERS payout of $3,300, I have a proposal for you, which is still within the CPF framework but using the CPF-OA instead. Since CPF-OA earns a lower 2.5%, you will need a larger starting balance. And I have done the math for you with the help of ChatGPT. The number you need at age 55 in CPF-OA and still withdraws ERS-level monthly payouts from 65 onwards until age 89 is 289,000. In other words, instead of putting 213K into RA, you could put 289K into OA, Let it compound 10 years at 2.5% from 55 to 65. Then start drawing $3,300 monthly from 65 onwards until you reach 89. So to do that, that's an extra 76,000. For individuals earning median income, that will mean working 1 or 2 extra years. For higher earners, it will be a matter of months. But in exchange, you maintain full liquidity and control over that amount for 34 years, from 55 all the way to 89. And that may help you survive scenario X if it sway happens early in retirement. As you probably noticed by now, that this amount does not last until the day you die. So if you think 89 is too short and you expect to be a centenarian, then adding a couple more years of full-time work or a few more years of part-time work will get you there. There you have it. I hope this discussion has brought the conversation around CPF Life and annuity schemes beyond just pure numbers and help all of you delve a bit deeper into how to integrate CPF Life into your own retirement financial planning. So, does Scenario X change how you think about annuities, liquidity, or your own retirement plan? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I always enjoy learning from your perspectives. If you found this useful, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and till the next time, remember, sometimes the best form of aging is just aging normally. See you in the next one.